Okay, today I'm going to tell the story of the time I embarrassed myself in front of the entire city of Cincinnati, Ohio. And I do mean the entire city, like all at once, like hundreds of thousands of people, at the minimum, thousands of people at once. My name is Brianna Hansen, and this is A Spark. I went to Xavier University, which is in the city of Cincinnati, Ohio. Technically, it's Norwood, Ohio, and I think that makes it its own city, but you address stuff to Cincinnati, so maybe it's its own neighborhood. It's kind of confusing because here in LA, we have places that are like well-known neighborhoods like Brentwood, but it's not its own city, and then well-known neighborhoods like Santa Monica, which is its own city. So all that aside, I went to Xavier, and while I was at school, sophomore year, I got involved in writing for the Xavier University Newswire, which is the news publication. And it used to be, back in the day, oh my gosh, this story is going to age me so much. It used to be a physical, like, newsletter, like a small newspaper that Xavier would produce once a month. And it was also online, but at the time, online wasn't the main currency with which people got their information. I mean, it definitely was. There was like, this wasn't pre-internet by any means, but it just wasn't like, it wasn't the main way people are looking up stuff. So I was involved in an improv troupe called Don't Tell Anna, which I believe is still around. I was just at Xavier last year and it was still around. And while I was there, it was always a tradition that someone from Don't Tell Anna wrote this goofy column on the back of the Xavier Newswire that was all about the events happening, okay? And the point was just kind of to be silly, to find actual events, but to create jokes around the sharing of these events. And I friggin' loved it. I was the only freshman my year on Don't Tell Anna, and so it was sort of natural that I would take over for the seniors in writing this column. So I did it for 3+ years because I think I started at the end of my freshman year. God, I loved writing that. And I have lots of goofy stories about it. But I mean, I wrote one time as if a leprechaun had taken over my computer. So I was having weird symbols involved. I wrote as different voices. I just like had fun because at the end of the day, this was a community events calendar. It was literally called Calendar City. And it was just a community events calendar that was meant to offer places and spaces for people to get together and hang out and what's happening on campus and a little bit of what's happening in the greater Cincinnati area. Well, somehow a couple of local radio DJs, like at a very popular station, sometime my junior year, I think it was junior or senior year, found it and reached out to me and were like, this is really funny. We want you to come on our show and share these community events the same way that you do in Calendar City. And I was like, that sounds super fun. But they were morning DJs, okay? And I was in college at the time. Now I have since become an early riser, but that has taken years of intense discipline and dedication. It is not something that comes naturally to me. And the only reason I can do it is because I start bed early now in order to get up mega early. And this was college. I not only lacked the discipline for that specific element of my life of like getting up mega early, but I didn't have the lifestyle. I was doing comedy. I was in college. I was staying up late. So the deal was there was no like set time or place that they would call me. There was just like a window that they would probably call me during. I should also mention here that I am a really, really heavy sleeper. When I'm out, man, I am out. I'm out quickly and I'm out hard. And when I get up in the mornings, it usually takes me, even as I'm not a natural morning person, but even as someone who gets up early, it takes me a little bit to get going. I'm kind of nonverbal for the first 20 to 30 minutes of waking up. So there have been times where, specifically like when I was in high school, where my dad would get me up, tell me something before he left for work early in the morning. And then later in the day, he'd be like, why didn't you do the thing we talked about? And I'd be like, what thing? We absolutely didn't. And I'll have had full conversations with him and had gone back to sleep and completely forgot about it. Okay. Well, with that context in mind, I'm writing Calendar City I'm having fun with it. These DJs find me. They ask me to be available in the mornings, in like early mornings. We're talking like 5 to 7 a.m. windows for them maybe to call me. So I am. I'm excited about it. I look up fun events. I'm thinking of ways I can like find angles with them, whatever. And I'm getting up super early just to wait for a possible phone call. That's not exactly setting myself up for, a positive experience here. Well, they call like a few times, sometimes. Over the course of a couple weeks, they call me sometimes. And I don't like listen. This is the radio when I'm a college student. It's not like I'm like listening to their show being like, oh, they're going to call me this morning. They didn't, they wouldn't. And, I had no way of knowing. So all that being said, you may see where this is going. Eventually they don't call as much. They call me like 2 or 3 times. Well, one, I think that the gig is over, right? Like, okay, whatever, they're not going to call. Well, one morning, they did call, and I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't like I normally was, which was awake, physically awake at my desk, mentally completely still asleep, but like with my stuff in front of me, ready to go, ready to turn on. I was just like in bed. And I answered like this. Hello. Because I didn't even recognize the number because I was just like answering the phone because that's how old I am. I mentioned that it's been a minute since I've been in school. We answer the phone for random numbers. I don't as much anymore, but back in the day I would. And they were like, oh, I want to say it's like Kevin and Bean, but that might be someone out here. It was the 2 DJs with their like intense morning DJ energy being like, whoa, did we wake you? Sorry. And I was like, oh no, it's okay. And my like nonverbal approach, just like, ugh. And they're like, what events are happening in Cincinnati? Just some naps? And I was like, yeah, it's like a cool beer fest. I think you can get beer here in Cincinnati, except on Sundays. I don't even know what I said. And I don't think the conversation lasted more than a minute. Well, I'm like, I think I just went back to bed. I think I was so tired. I was like, well, that sucked. And I went back to bed. They didn't call me after that, but understandably. But also, it was not a great gig. It's not like they were like, if they had been like, once a week, we want you to come into the studio and you're going to give us like a lowdown and be on, that's a totally different ask. And I now would know to ask for something like that. Like, what a fun thing. Let's do the thing you want this way that sets me up for success. But that's not what we did or what happened. So I didn't think much of it until, I was in the Gallagher Student Center, which is still there, and I'm like studying and working on something, and in comes one of the staffers who I worked with regularly, and she just looks at me, she goes, hello. And I was like, oh no. Oh, that was like broadcast, right? And she's like, oh yeah, it was broadcast. It was broadcast during Cincinnati, Ohio's morning commute. And apparently they like took the clip of my hello and like replayed it. You know how DJs will do that? They'll like find a little clip and they'll be like, replay. They apparently did that with my snippet of waking up exhausted. And over and over again, that was the joke of the morning. I was the joke of the morning for Cincinnati. And, on the one hand, I was like, to be honest, I was like a little horrified because I was like, oh my God, so embarrassing. But on the other hand, I'm like, it was also radio. So it's not like people, I can, I'm not going to, next time I go to Kroger, which is what it is in Ohio, no one's going to be like, hello, unless they recognize my voice, which would be a huge stretch. But 2 or 3, like another professor said something later because they knew it was me. Apparently this was like a thing. And we're like, hey, did you get any rest? Hey, I heard you waking up this morning. Like, it was a thing. And those were just people I knew who had caught that moment that apparently they replayed all morning long. Now, I'm sharing this story because I want you to know if something embarrassing happens to you, you can survive. And I was actually kind of mad at myself at the time more than anything. I was more like, oh, Brianna, you missed that opportunity. How could you blow this amazing opportunity with these DJs? And now I look back and, like I said a few minutes ago, I think I have so much more empathy for the college student trying to do this very unclear ask. Because I also was like nervous that they didn't find me funny, and that I was like, I didn't quite understand the ask. And I was a college student doing our absolute best, but staying up late and studying a lot and with a lot on my plate and being available from 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. like every single day for a possible call that only comes like once a week and not even consistently or at a consistent time. It's kind of like an unfair thing to ask. So now I know that when these opportunities come along, one, I can prepare better for them, which is a testament to being actually prepared for major opportunities. And two, I can also ask for what I need. If I had said, so much fun, I love your show, let me come in once a week and just like be part of it for an hour and talk about all the weird things that did happen and that will happen, totally different outcome. And something I could physically prepare for in terms of sleep and rest. But I didn't know. And you can't know what you don't know till you know it. Yeah, you can't know what you don't know until you know it. And then after that, you know it. But you also know that you don't know what you don't know. So to the radio DJs who called me and got their hello, you're welcome. All right, everybody, thanks for listening and have a good rest of your day. I hope it goes well and that you get some rest. Bye.